Welcome back to the Top 6 show. Hit the like button, subscribe. Make sure that you have the bell notifications turned on as well. Loads to delve into on today's show as we preview the Premier League weekend ahead. We're going to be delving into Chelsea and the war between Sterling and co and the football club. Big transfer stories as well. Ugarte to Manchester United, agreed. And the one that has just been announced is over the line. And obviously, we've got two Gooners on here to help us review that as well. But Merino to Arsenal, the deal is now complete. The here we go is here. The Ornstein bomber. Anything you want is here. It's over the line. 35 million plus add-ons for the player. Egal, how happy are you with this deal now completing?
Terry, my patience was getting tested, honestly, with these transfers taking so long this window. But I'm wondering what took so long, because it seems like the final fee is not anywhere near what we were thinking it was going to be. I think Real Sociedad really did a good job of negotiating with us and getting as much as they could from this deal. And it kind of takes away from the enjoyment of the transfer, in my opinion. It's a great deal for us, though, the player, in the sense of getting the player. Financial side, it's a good player. Squad improves massively. We get another midfielder. We now have decent squad depth in the midfield. When you look at that, we have Jorginho, Rice, Partey, Odegaard, Mikel Merino, and then you look at Fabio Vieira and these guys. They're now not third, fourth options. They're now fifth or sixth options. When you look in the team, those guys that are on the fringes of the squad. So the more quality you add in the middle of the park, the better you are as a football club. So I'm very happy about that. But it's just the joy of the transfer window and getting a signing over the line is not as fun anymore, Terry, because it takes so long and you know everything that's happening from every minute. It's almost like
it's because you're doing better now, though.
I feel exhausted.
It's because you're doing better. Like City don't go out there and sign 4 or 5 players anymore, do they? It's 1 or 2, just small little tweaks to the team. And like you've got Calafiori and Merino over the line. I still think you bring a forward in. I think Nketiah will get here. We go Nketiah to go to Forest. I think that'll be tomorrow. I think you've sold Charlie Bettino, so that's more academy profit, more going on your FFP. Like, I mean, you lot must be. I mean, for me, I'm sitting here thinking United have had a good window. Arsenal have had a good window. Newcastle have kept hold of Grimares and Isak. Like, and apparently our business is done.
But Man City signing Gundogan kind of like,
I
know we can't control what other people do, but Man City signing Gundogan, it's like we had to just get our business done. But at the same time, I'm looking over at Man City and I'm like, yo, these guys got Gundogan. It's like, it's kind of making Mikel Merino look like it's not as big as a signing. You know what I mean?
Still though, it's still good business. Like it's more. The big thing you needed was more squad depth, and you brought that in with Calafiori and Merino. You just need a forward to bring in depth for Saka. But I think you've got to react now. Now that City are looking at this striker from Celtic, whether he's going to bag or not in the Prem is a different question. But I think you have to sign a forward now in the remainder of the week. Whether it's a wide player or a striker is down to Arteta's preference. But I just think you have to get one over the line.
Yeah, Giuseppe, you excited? Because I kind of feel like my patience was wearing thin with the Moreno deal. I'm kind of bored of it almost.
Nah, listen, I'm all right. First of all, Terry said 2 Gooners. I'd have never known Egal was a Gooner. But no, like,
well, there's honestly, 4 if you include what the YouTube thinks that me and Henry are also Gooners.
Oh yeah, actually,
because we're unbiased, because we're dispassionate, we're Gooners as well.
And Rams a Nottingham Forest fan.
Yeah, he is a little bit.
But yeah, no, listen, I'm happy with the signing. Moreno was a good player and all that until Arsenal was linked with him, and now all of a sudden he's not a great player. He's this, he's that. We'll have to wait and see. I've told everyone. I've done a TikTok earlier when it got announced, and I said, listen, like, let's not do extremes either way. Let's wait and see. I don't know what's happened to the football world, but people don't want to wait and see players anymore. Like, it's either, they're going to be crap, or the other half of people is like, he's the Modric of Arsenal and all this crap. Like, you get one side or the other are extreme. Just wait. Let's wait and see how he does. I'm excited. I think he knits together our midfield personally. I think he's a character in the midfield that we're actually missing, and I think that he brings that experience with his age to the field. And I know you've got Partey that brings experience as well to our midfield, but I don't know. Moreno seems more like a guy that will bring experience. I don't know if that makes sense, but the type of player and the type of person he is, from what I've seen, he's quite a mouthy person. Like he'll command the team a bit. So I think he's a great signing. The thing of how long it took, minor to me. Real Sociedad were just playing hardball. That's all it is. They're going to play hardball when he's got a year left and they want the most money. I don't know if it was someone on here. I don't know if it was Terry or not that said it, but someone said to me, like, they want to be able to say to their fans, look, we got the most out of this player that we want, like that we can get. We've battled to get the most money for this player. So this is the sort of stuff that happens. So they've kept Zubimendi, big up Rams. And now they've got decent money.
Giuseppe, you're a prick, bro. Honestly, you didn't need to mention his name.
I had to. But listen, and we've got Moreno now, so they got good money for him. So that's what it was. They were playing hardball, trying to get what they want. I still think the price we paid is a decent price. I know it's a year left. That side of things, maybe. But nowadays, even when someone's got a year left, you still got to pay the premium because these guys, if you want the player, if you really want the player, they don't seem to be budging anymore. These teams. So, for me, it's a good signing. It's about time, though. And let's go for a forward. Eddie and Nketiah going as well. Lovely stuff. See, another thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think I do get where Egal's coming from, that the kind of the time that a transfer takes can kind of take the sort of excitement away. And every now and then you get a kind of deal that comes almost out of nowhere and happens quickly and breaks, the news comes in. Bloody hell. A few years ago, Arsenal had that with Fabio Vieira. No one was expecting it. And then bang, there was this player. There was excitement. I do get that. But at the same time, I think Giuseppe's hit the nail on the head. We as fans of Premier League teams, and I see it with the real negative Nellies online, everything's always about their perspective and their point of view of their club. We're too slow at getting these deals done. We should just pay the money. Well, what if the team you're negotiating with is also very good at what they're doing and is trying to do the best by their football club as well? We're not factoring in there is a secondary party and often a third or a fourth party involved as well with other football clubs. There's agents, there's the player. There's all manner of situations that go on. And I think that there's been we all know that this summer was delayed by 5 to 6 weeks because of the Euros and because of Copa America anyway. So everybody is behind. City have only just made... Savio was one of their signings from their own club, so that's easy to do. Like one of the clubs they own, and they've just re-signed a legend. It's not as though they've found it easy to get deals over the line so far this summer. And I think that Arsenal fans need to understand that at times you're going for one or two top players. But I think overall, it's a good signing. What I've read about him, what I've seen of him, what the Sociedad fans think of him. I think you've signed a real talent into your midfield and someone that gives you extra depth, somebody that gives you extra versatility as a team, because you've now got a couple of people that can play in multiple roles. Partey and Rice can play the 6. Jorginho can play the 6. Rice can play on the left-hand side. Merino can play on the left-hand side as an example. So you can mix and match that team to try and keep people as fresh as possible. And you've raised the floor. And raising the floor is important because winning trophies this season is of paramount importance to Arteta. Maybe more so, you think about it, maybe more so than any other manager. The pressure on Arteta to win a trophy of some sort this year is probably at its highest because it's been so many years without one and you're such a good team. A team the level of Spurs not winning the FA Cup is far less embarrassing than Arsenal not winning it, typically speaking, because you're a much better team than them. That's not a dig. It's just the truth. You're a team that's challenging for the Premier League. And it's probably, I don't even know how you work out the favourites of the new Champions League format because I do understand.
The favourites are Real Madrid.
Sorry?
The favourites are Real Madrid.
No, I understand that. But what I mean is, I think it's actually impossible to call that now. We don't know who everyone's playing yet. You might literally get a team that's like 8th favourite, get its group drawn, and it's against what we consider bums. You might get someone like Arsenal that has to play so many top sides. I don't really get. I know it's all seeded, but yeah, we'll talk about that another day and wait for it to actually happen. But I think overall, this is a really good piece of business from Arsenal. It's now, though, about the reaction to Gundogan, the reaction to this potential striker. And I've seen some rumors today of a late attempt for Nico Williams. We've seen the Lookman links. There's the reports in Italy of Victor Osimhen. And then the English media are saying you're not replacing Eddie Nketiah. How big a mistake, Egal, would it be for this to be it and no more business to happen at Arsenal?
I don't believe the English media in the sense that, because let's look at it. Let's just look at the simple math. We've shown our interest in many different attacking players, just like you've named. We even showed interest early in the window in guys like Sesko, for example. From the beginning of the window till now, we've shown that we want to improve our attack. Why all of a sudden at the end of the window they're saying, oh, all of a sudden Arsenal doesn't want to replace Eddie Nketiah? It's not replacing Eddie Nketiah. It's bringing in an attacker. It doesn't have to be another striker. It could be another winger. Maybe what they're saying is a little bit flippant, and they're saying, oh, Arsenal don't look at Eddie Nketiah needing an immediate replacement. But guess what? We can replace him by getting somebody in another area of the pitch, like another attacker, instead of just getting another striker. We don't necessarily need another striker to replace Eddie Nketiah. If Jesus left, for example, or somebody big left, then I could see potentially like a big name coming in. But at this moment in time, a winger like a Lookman or somebody like that coming in is not out of the realm of possibility. We just need to move on. Reece Nelson, I think that's possible also. And I don't think people have factored that in, that Arsenal's still trying to move out some players like Ramsdale, like Reece Nelson, some of these fringe players, even Kivior. So with more outgoings, it's gonna open up the picture of who we're actually gonna bring in. And I think people are just saying things that they're reporting right now because that might be a level of truth. But with more exits, there's gonna be a possibility of more incomings.
For me personally, how the English media are working right now, in my opinion, before anyone says like that, I personally think it's two things. One, like the English media, we have to realize that the people that are putting out tweets and putting out articles and stuff, they're people, right? So they see the social media the way we do, and they know that putting something out like that gets loads of clicks because they know how the Arsenal fan base is online. That's the first thing. They know as soon as the Arsenal fan base, they'll melt down and it'll be everywhere, publishing everywhere, all Arsenal fans going crazy. Second of all, if you've seen the whole transfer window and the whole last couple transfer windows, Arsenal are quite tight now in the sense of Arteta's made the club quite tight. Information does not leak out of our club. Now, the English media only gets information from the English clubs, really. Yeah, so they're not getting it from our side. All the clubs that are getting information, all the stuff that's coming out are from the Italian publications, the Spanish publications and stuff. They're getting it from the other side of the Real Sociedads. They're getting it from the Napolis, the Bolognas. They're getting the information from there. That's why this season, this transfer window being the first to publicize it, because we're not giving that into the English media. The only person I feel like Arsenal gives stuff to is Ornstein. And that's why everyone gets so excited, Arsenal fans, when Ornstein puts stuff out. Even
David Ornstein.
Ornstein.
Yeah,
I know. I always
Man, he added an extra syllable. I thought I was having a stroke. I wonder what was going on then.
I always do that. Ornstein, yeah. But like for me, that's why even yesterday you see it, yeah. All of a sudden, like Fabrizio Romano and Ornstein at the same exact time, literally, are tweeting two exactly different stories about the Nottingham Forest and the Eddie Nketiah stuff. Because obviously they've probably got Ornstein has probably got it from Arsenal, and he hasn't got that information from Arsenal, so he hasn't put it out. But we'll have to wait and see with the striker. I think we'll sign a striker personally.
On the Ornstein, he is, according to Matt here, he has come out and stated that Arsenal's next mission is a backup winger. If the mission is backup winger, who is that? What level of player is a backup winger to Arsenal? Because surely, and this is not any salt, I mean this wholeheartedly, a backup winger has surely got to be somebody who is better than Reece Nelson and has the ability to push Martinelli in Saka's position. So who is that individual? I'm going to go to Ram first on this.
They need another Trossard. That's basically the kind of player that they need. They can't settle for someone that is happy to sit on the bench. They need someone that is actually willing to challenge the wingers that they've got already. And if they can find another Trossard, that would be great. I'm hearing people saying Nico Williams. I don't think it's going to happen. I think he signed that bumper contract with Athletic Bilbao, and I think he has his heart set on Barcelona or Madrid, either one of those ones. Kvaratskhelia, I don't see Arsenal putting out 80 to 90 million pounds for a backup player. That he's that good. Maybe this player might be the guy they might look for, Lookman. I think a good price, 35 to 40 M's. I'm quoting around about 35, 40 M's. Homegrown as well, which is also very, very handy. I think that kind of player would be decent, and I think he could back himself to really push on after having a really good season with Atalanta.
Terry, from the names that you brought up, Kvaratskhelia, no, I don't think Nico Williams is going to happen at this point. Let's be honest. We were interested in the guy who played for RB Leipzig, the Dutch player. What's his name?
Xavi Simons.
Xavi Simons, but that's not going to happen. Obviously, we were trying to get ambitious early in the window and talk about guys like Rashford and Leal. That's not going to happen at this point either. So I just think it's going to be a situation where it goes down to an opportunity to sign somebody like a Lookman or an Adingra. These players with potential, but are currently somewhat producing. Where I don't look at, I look at Lookman as probably one of the best examples of somebody who could be like a Trossard. I actually rate Lookman. Lookman is somebody who can play across the whole front three. He's not necessarily naturally a striker, but he can play across the whole front three. He can score goals. He can get assists. He can create for your team. He's somebody who can be a difference maker in those close games and come off the bench and make a difference and even start and make a difference. Also, he doesn't have a bad injury record. He's 26 years old. He's homegrown. He's played in the Premier League before. I know he wasn't the best when he played, but let's be honest, in an Arsenal team, you're going to have a lot better players around you, and you're not going to be as focused on as you would be with Atlanta. And it all comes down to the price. How much money is Arsenal willing to spend from now to the end of the window on that attacker? Eze is also available, but I don't know if they want him anymore, because that's somebody who we were linked to early in the window. There's just so many names, Terry. But one thing we need to get out through our head is striker is not being brought up. I don't think.
What about Mbeumo though? Egal, on that right hand side.
Sorry,
Mbeumo on that right hand side. He can play up front. He can play on the right.
I rate Mbeumo, but let's be honest. I think Lookman is a little bit better.
No, that's not.
Who?
I butchered his name. It's Mbeumo, right? Mbeumo. How do you say his name?
Honesty, not Mbeumo.
Calm down, Rams. Calm down, Rams. You come out with the worst analogies every week.
Listen,
don't have a go at me. I'm just saying what you just said. Don't have a go at me.
Guy's name's hard.
I think it's. I'll be honest.
So basically, what?
Go on, David.
I was going to say what Arsenal are looking for is someone like a João Felix to come in and push people.
No, I'm not going to lie. The difference is João Felix is a bum that doesn't know what position he can play at.
I see it being. I'm not going to lie. I'll be honest. I would not be surprised if it ends up being Sterling.
No way in hell. God,
no.
Please,
Egal
at Chelsea. I don't want nothing to do with him.
I'm not on a loan. I'll be honest, yeah. On a loan.
We want this. Listen, Sterling, talk to me. Talk to me.
I'm gonna be honest, right? I don't think Sterling would be that bad if we could get him on a loan or something. I think Chelsea fans will laugh. Chelsea fans butcher every fucking player, every other player they get. They look at what they've done. Look at when we got Havertz. Yeah. All right, cool. Palmer, one guy. Bro.
Modric.
You've butchered so many.
Madueke.
No, I just think if you think how he cooked and how Sterling himself come out and said under Arteta, he done his best seasons under Arteta, man management, bigged up Arteta so much at the Man City club. He's coming in. He's going to have a chip on his shoulder after what happened with the Chelsea stuff. I think as a squad player, as a guy to come in and push to get on the team sheet, he's not a bad shout. Once again, I would rather sign the striker. Like for me, I think if we get I still think we get the striker personally. So I think we might even be getting a striker and a winger. Like I'll be honest, yeah.
That's very ambitious.
I know you said that it's ambitious, but what's his name? Edu come out and said, like, I know this is obviously what he said, and we can't take everything for gospel, but he said Arsenal fans, they're gonna be happy come the end of the transfer window. We're all right now thinking we're not gonna do this, we're not gonna do that because we haven't been doing much this so far. Now Eddie's gone. If we were to get a Sterling online, I could see us getting a striker and a winger. I don't see why that's so far fetched. If only signed 2 players.
Can I ask a question?
I don't want William 2.0. I think
I get that. I'll come back to you in a second, Egal. Henry, do you think Sterling could work at Arsenal? I've seen a lot of gooners online say, similar to Giuseppe, they think they might make a move for him because you're going to get him cheaper than what Chelsea want to get rid of him for. He's probably going to be willing to take some sort of pay cut because the scenario there is toxic, which we can get onto. Do you think he'd be a success at Arsenal?
Yeah. I'll give you 3 reasons why. 1, the Kai Havertz situation is very similar at the moment where he was at that football club, wasn't performing. There's a feel-good factor in the Arsenal dressing room and Kai Havertz towards the end of the season improved. The second reason is Sterling's best goal contribution seasons, both of them were while, like Giuseppe said, Arteta was there. And I think he's the 3rd highest assisted player ever under Guardiola. 3, he brings a winning mentality into the dressing room as a guy that's won 4 league titles, 5 League Cups, an FA Cup. I don't think he walks in and starts. But as I've been saying for the last few months, I don't think Arsenal will sign a striker. They need a wide player. I personally think Sterling would do relatively well, but I think it will be Lookman because I think Lookman can play the 9 role as well, and he's proven that at Atalanta. Performed in the really big games last year, hat-trick in the Europa League final, brace in the quarterfinal. I think Sterling would definitely, Arsenal will be looking at that going, and you look at it as well, how many players have Chelsea sold to Arsenal in the last decade? 10? 8? There's a relatively good relationship there. Like even the last couple of years, Havertz and Jorginho. So,
Check.
David Luiz, Willian,
David Luiz, Gallas.
Yeah, there's a
off the top of my head anyway. There's the top of my head. Olivier Giroud the other way.
Yeah. At like 35, 40 million pounds. I think Arsenal will snap that up. Snap that up in a heartbeat. I think he'll take a pay cut.
Ashley Cole.
Fabregas?
Yeah. Fabregas.
Yeah, me personally, if Arsenal take Sterling, I don't care because ultimately, as Maresca said yesterday, he don't care about him either. But like for Arsenal, I can see why it would make sense, and I genuinely think half of it is just the reason why it hasn't worked out at Chelsea is because he's never been in a stable squad. I think if we literally verbatim swapped Arsenal squad and Chelsea squad, and you just put them in their different scenarios, I think the Chelsea squad would look a whole lot better than it does right now. I think it's just because of the situations that people are in. That's why certain people are struggling and certain people aren't. So, for me personally, I'd happily get rid of him. Take him, enjoy him. I hope he helps you do whatever you want to do. But 45 mil in my back pocket really would help. So
I honestly think Sterling would cook. Sterling would cook for Arsenal. I think the kind of player that he is different to what Saka and Martinelli is. I think when he was at City, Guardiola emphasized that movement to him, how he gets in the right positions, and he had some form of a clinical nature. Wouldn't say he's as clinical as Trossard or better player than him, but very similar to what he's about. And I think given that you haven't got anyone else on that right-hand side, and he has played there. I know he's predominantly a left winger, but he can play on the right and has been comfortable on the right before. I honestly think that he would cook for you guys. He would really.
Sterling's better than Martin.
The only thing he's going to cook is our attack. 1 second. The only thing is
Sterling's better than Mudryk, mate.
Bro, Sterling is going to cause disruption to our attack. I don't think he's.
No, he's not, Egal. You're being overly dramatic.
I don't think he's going to benefit us. One thing that I'm going to mention: Sterling is probably one of the most frustrating players to watch when he's on a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1. His decision making is poor, even though at his current age, how old is he at this point? I don't even know how old he is.
29.
At the age of 29, his IQ is worse than somebody that was at 23. His decision making in the final third is poor. He's constantly messing up. And if you guys are frustrated with Martinelli's decision making, and you guys are frustrated with Martinelli, Raheem Sterling is the same thing or even worse, because he's gonna be on ridiculous wages. Unless Chelsea are fronting half the bill, it doesn't make sense. And we're not buying him on a permanent. There's no way Arsenal will take him at the age of 29 right now and bring him into the squad. We already have enough pieces right now. We might as well get another player who will actually be humble enough that you can build that you
don't know if
something like that, who I would view as a better choice. I think
why is Sterling not humble? Why do people say that about Sterling? Sterling's a humble guy.
He just wants to play football.
I'm looking at how he plays football, Terry. He is somebody who will hold on to the ball, make a couple extra touches, and try to go for the glory himself, then make the pass. I've seen it at Chelsea.
No, he's not.
I haven't seen that at City. But what I've seen at Chelsea,
do you know what?
Player who will take the game by himself,
I understand,
rather than make the pass.
And someone here, I think, tried to have a dig at Sterling by saying he's a system player. He is, but Arsenal have a brilliant system. Raheem Sterling, when Raheem Sterling struggles, is when he's at clubs or in teams where the system is poor or got massive holes in it. When Liverpool started to get good under Brendan Rodgers, he thrived. He went to City, he thrived. Went to Chelsea, and listen, you can love him or loathe him, it doesn't matter. What I'm about to say is a fact. Chelsea's system and their team in the last 2 years has been awful. There are some players who can thrive in teams that are not well-oiled. And I think Palmer is exactly one of them. I think Palmer's the type of player you could almost put him in any team in the Premier League and he would still deliver goals, still deliver assists, because he's that type of individuals. There are others, and I think Raheem Sterling fits that mold, where I think he does need to be in a well-oiled machine. But it's, football players are sometimes like cars. If you take a Formula One car, David, you know a lot about them. On a racetrack, are they like the best and fastest cars in the world?
Not quite, but pretty much, yeah.
Pretty much there. But if you put them on a dirt track and tried to take them for a rally race, they ain't winning, are they?
Absolutely hopeless. Genuinely, if you had an F1 race in the winter, and you put it in Britain, the cars would be awful. They just couldn't do it.
There we go. So the point I'm making. Let me just finish the point, KJ. Egal, sorry.
Oh.
The point I'm making is that
they just
certain horses for courses, certain players will benefit elsewhere. So I'm not even saying Sterling's the answer. I'm simply putting, if your reason is I don't want him because he's a system player, that is ill thought out logic. Because if you're Arsenal and you've got a brilliant system, well, Sterling should be perfect for you then.
There's 3 reasons. One, I don't want another project. I want somebody who's going to come in and raise the levels. Number 2, his wages right now, I think would be an issue, and Chelsea would have to front a large portion of that bill. And number 3, when it comes to what I was saying, it's not necessarily about the system. It's about how the player has been playing and how he's been playing most recently. I think the way that he's been playing, he would cause more disruption to our attack, and he won't be as harmonious. Someone like Trossard, he flows through the game, and yes, sometimes he takes the shot instead of passing. Martinelli does the same thing. Do we want to add another piece to that puzzle that does the exact same, that has the exact same flaws?
Again, I think you're looking at it in the wrong way.
Can I debunk 3 of those points that you made?
I'm going to go to Giuseppe, then I'll come to you, Ram. Sorry, because Giuseppe had his hand on his head at one point there. I want to know what's going through his head.
Yeah. No. When Egal said project something, or you said you don't want another project. Sterling's not a project. He's a ready-made player. Comes straight into the team and ups the level. I don't care what for some reason, people now have let's stop using recency biased. Let's please stop that, because that's what's being happened. We've seen how crappy he's been the last bit at Chelsea, in a team that have neglected him, haven't really even played him that much, and have, as a whole, rubbish. Let's forget this season with Maresca, before Maresca, right? They've been rubbish. So we can't use recency bias to fully prosecute this guy and say he's not good because of what he's done at Chelsea. He was quality at Man City. He's a good player. He's a quality player. He's just not really had the team around him. Put him in Arsenal. By the way, once again, the winger we're bringing in as David Ornstein said, is a backup winger. We're not looking to have a guy that comes in and he is the main guy on the wing. And we need someone in the squad. You're telling me you think Lookman will be better than Sterling? I think you're nuts. I might be the only person that don't really rate Lookman that much. Last time he was in the Prem, he stunk it up. If we want to use that logic that you're using, the last time Lookman was in the Premier League playing for Fulham, he was stinky. That's why he got a move to Atlanta and no one else wanted to touch him. So if we want to use the logic, we're only using recency bias. Oh, because he had a decent season at Atlanta last year and scored a hat trick in the final. Fair enough. But listen, I personally think
he had back-to-back decent seasons. Let's not act like it was just 1 year.
Yeah, but Sterling's had like 5 of those seasons.
But then again,
6 of those.
Atalanta play a different style.
When was the last time Sterling had a good season? Oh, it was 2 years ago at Man City.
When he was with a good team, when he was in a team,
and was a good man.
Yeah, well, was with a good team
and was harmonious.
Can we acknowledge he was at Chelsea before Cole Palmer was there? He was at Chelsea before Cole Palmer was there. He was signed as one of the best.
No, but Egal, you're completely missing the context, bro.
1 second. You have to understand this. When you are in a poor team and you're given the keys as the big signing, you play 28 games and you underperform your worst ever season at Man City. That tells me you cannot handle it. If you bring him to Arsenal, and you're telling me he's going to be a bit par player, he's going to be better. He was at a team where he was given the keys and he couldn't even perform.
How many
like your current striker that you love?
Yeah, how many seasons?
It's a completely different situation.
How is it different?
Not.
How?
No,
he was meant to be that guy.
How is
he was
it?
meant to be the guy that starts in their midfield for the next 7 or 8 years.
He was Chelsea's record signing. The situation is completely and utterly. I'm not even advocating for you guys to sign him. The logic I've been told so far as to why not to sign him doesn't make sense. Just say I don't think he's good enough. I think he's a bad player, but I think the logic you're using is ill thought out.
1 second. I gave you 3 logical reasons why I don't want him. You could take any of the 3. The wages, if you're going to take a major pay cut, that will be one thing that will make me more ease into the transfer. Number 2, I don't think he's a fit based on the way that he plays. I think the way that he plays, you need somebody. I don't think he's gonna suit the way that we play. He's not gonna make the passes. He's gonna try to be a hero and take the game by the scruff of the neck and do it by himself, and it's gonna be to our detriment.
Egal, we got 12 GA last season. Last season in the Premier League, he got 12 GA for that crap Chelsea team last season. So you want to say how bad his season was? 12 GA. You put him in this Arsenal team that creates a lot more. You say you want to smack another 5 GA on that. Bro, 17 GA. That's not bad for a backup.
One second. Why are we talking about 12 GA like it's something impressive? We have Declan Rice, who's a centre back, getting more than that.
But what I'm trying to say is, you're saying he was god awful. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not saying that's the most amazing stat, but I'm just saying in that rubbish Chelsea team, that didn't really do much.
12 GA is nothing in the grand scheme of things when you're an attacker. That's terrible, actually.
For a crap team, though, Egal.
I'm saying if you put him in Arsenal, can I say something? Yeah. If you put him in Arsenal, you don't think he gets more GA than he would if playing at Chelsea?
That's irrelevant. Does he benefit us to win the league? I don't think so.
Yes.
But you guys are so Giuseppe, you're in the category of people who are so desperate for a signing. You're just saying, Raheem Sterling, let's get him.
No, bro, because I want a striker. I don't even want a winger.
I'm not willing to just take anybody.
Can I give an opinion from?
We were sat here last week talking about Madueke and Mudryk. Now we're here speaking about Sterling. Every week we're just going to sit here talk about another.
I think it's desperate.
We need a striker. Get Jackson. Why don't we get Jackson? That's what we're going to talk about next.
Egal, I think it's desperate from Arsenal fans. Wanting Lookman. I think that looks more.
Lookman. Are you crazy, bro? Do you know what Lookman did last year? Lookman by himself helped win his team the Europa League. Lookman in the league 2 years back to back. You're talking about 12 GA.
Egal, Morata helped go to Champions League final.
Egal, in the league. About GA on 1 second and then belittle somebody who's 26 years old on a much more reasonable wages, homegrown. Also, I don't even think we're going to sign him. But at this moment in time, I would rather have Adamana Lookman where he is in his stage of football than bring in a friggin' Raheem Sterling.
If you want to use GA, Egal, last season in the league, Lookman 18 GA. So he got.
What about the season before that?
He got 6. The season before that, Yeah, he got 16, 17, 19 GA. So if you want to use that logic, he got like 7 GA more than Sterling. Yeah, and he's in the Serie A. If you want to look at it like that, the Serie A is easier probably to get GA in, let's be honest. Yeah, and he was at a crap Chelsea team. I'm not saying you should want Sterling. To me, it doesn't matter. Yeah, to me, I want a striker. I don't
You're not
even
going to
want a
sign
winger
either
like
of
that.
them, regardless.
Yeah. I'm just saying Sterling wouldn't be that bad. I think that if we got him, he would prove you wrong. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying he'll be, oh my God, this amazing guy or anything like that. Yeah, I just think that if he comes in, he ain't as bad as what people are making out.
Bro, the guy's on 320.
Arsenal fans, I believe, just have this PTSD of getting players of Chelsea and then them flopping and the banter of Chelsea.
And I think Giuseppe, Arsenal fans like yourself at this moment in time are so desperate that they're willing to take.
I'm not that desperate for a signing. I'm the guy that's sitting here saying.
You're saying you want Raheem Sterling. Last week you were talking about.
No, I didn't say I want. I didn't. I never said I want Raheem Sterling. I said I can see Arsenal getting Raheem Sterling, and I'm giving the reasons why I don't think it would be the worst move ever. I'm not saying I want Raheem Sterling. I want Nico Williams, bro.
Okay, well, let's go. I'm going to go to Henry, and then we're going to go to some of the super chats.
Just on, I get both sides. I think Lookman would be a great signing, but I also, I'm not siding with Giuseppe to go against you, Egal, but I think I agree with Giuseppe more. When you look at when we say about Lookman's Premier League proven and he had a relatively good season at Leicester, he then went to Leipzig, then he went to Serie A. Sterling is at the age now where you could say 28 to 31 is probably prime years. He's 30 in December. He's did unbelievable things at City. I think in the system Arteta plays, Sterling would thrive more than Lookman. The reason I was suggesting Lookman is a more realistic fit is I don't think Sterling covers the striker role as good as Lookman does. However, in a bad environment, in a toxic where Chelsea have had their lowest Premier League ever finish, in that first season, Sterling was one of their standout players. There wasn't really many standout players, but he was one of those. Under Arteta, with the coaching method he's got, with a feel-good factor in the dressing room, everyone thought Havertz would flop. People called him 007. Then it got to November, then he started performing. His first goal might have been a penalty against Sheffield United or whatever it was. Then towards the back end, you saw him really deliver. I think Sterling walks into that Arsenal dressing room with players that he's been at the England camps with, like a Declan Rice. He knows Ben White. He knows the coaches. He knows players from City, Jesus and Zinchenko. I think he walks in there and he does exceptionally well for you guys. I think he has to take a pay cut. The wages are astronomically high, but you're getting a guy that's won 4 league titles walking into your dressing room. Look, I really rate Lookman. I wanted him at Spurs before he even went to Atalanta. I think he's a really, really good forward who can play anywhere along the front line. But I think Sterling, in terms of the way Arteta plays out wide, is better, personally. But Lookman can play striker, so I get both sides. But I personally would sign Sterling out of the two.
What is Sterling's strength? Is it crossing the ball?
Running in behind.
Running in behind, right? So
his movement. Then you're looking at him. So then you're looking at him as an inside forward on the left or on the right, right?
He'd probably play on the right, yeah, because the left you got Martinelli and Trossard.
Most likely, if you're looking at him as a backup for Saka, I don't think that's a crazy shout. I'm not sitting here saying it's a crazy shout to say Raheem Sterling would be a good backup for Saka. But in my opinion, at this moment in time, with the player where he is in the stage, I don't know if he's going to come to Arsenal, accept a role to sit as a backup. He's going to want to fight. He's going to want to fight for his place and start. I don't think he's able to push Saka. I think right now Raheem Sterling's slightly behind.
Yeah, but I think what you've said,
and personality-wise, and the way that he plays, I don't think it fits us. I don't think he's the kind of player.
On personality, the only thing I'm going to shut down is the personality talk. People keep talking about Raheem
Sterling. Does he work hard off the ball? Does he pass the ball?
Hang a minute, but that's not personality, is it? That's a football.
That's character on the pitch.
But that's not. But stop talking about his personality. And the reason I'm going to defend Raheem Sterling, and this isn't you, Egal, personally. Raheem Sterling's personality has been butchered by the scummy part of the UK media for a long time, and I think we need to be really careful with the language we speak when it comes to him, because people are ridiculous. But look, we're going to go to some of the super chats on this. Otherwise, we'll go round in circles forever and ever and ever. Done with Chelsea players, keep them away from us, is what TKA says. Sterling is done. You lot are waffling, especially Giuseppe.
There you go.
He also says here that Egal is correct. Keep Sterling away from us. True Blue here says Egal just slated Sterling too much to want him at Arsenal. Slated him too much to want him at Arsenal. Big up the panel, and nice to see Roy Hodgson back on the panel. David, keep the blue flag flying high. Matt here says, can you imagine how many pens we'd get with Raheem Sterling? About 15. Yeah, you might get quite a few pens. But I have DM'd you, Matt, by the way. I need you to have a chat about that title on YouTube, because I mean this with respect. You don't work for the Football Terrace and you're not out there on other channels representing us. So can you get that removed, please? Thank you. And that's not a dig. It's, I don't know what you're going to go on there and say and do, and you're not one of my employees.
It's heated debate, so who knows?
Yeah, I saw it and I'm like, go on any show you want, but I can't have you on there as a representative of the Football Terrace when you don't represent the Football Terrace, brother. With all, and I mean that with pure respect, bruv. Do you know what I mean? It's thank you. Sterling is no better than Trossard. Why sign him? I mean, if he's purely a backup, then that in itself would make sense. What Ornstein has said is, he said the winger Arteta and Arsenal really like is Nico Williams, but the player is coveted by everybody. He is on high wages, which will only increase if he moves to the Premier League, is what he's had to say on that matter. Sonny here says Sterling wants to be the main man. Now fell down the pecking order like he did at City. He wants a team with a starting spot, not coming to Arsenal. Plus, he ain't a team player. Better wingers in the market. I mean, Arteta thinks he's a team player. Arteta loves him. Arteta says what a great man, what a great personality, what a great attitude he's got. So the manager that the Arsenal fans that don't want him, the manager that you back and love, thinks differently to you. I'm just putting it out there. Stop forcing it. We don't want or need him. We can get the same output from a younger option that's not past his prime, which is fair. Terry, what about the bet with young Daniel? Yeah, we're going to get him his shirt. I just forgot about it all summer, if I'm being honest with you. So much, Gad. I really, really did. Matt also says, happy with Mikel Merino. Is done now. The saga was dragging. Props to Edu. I think he deserves a lot of praise this window. By the way, Matt, you are the reason that you've ended up paying the same amount of money. Because yesterday you started bantering Man United for negotiating for 3 weeks for Ugarte and paying the same money. And then bang, 24 hours later, you upset the football gods there. You bantered too early, my friend. Speaking of, we're going to come back to Arsenal later because we're going to be talking about their game with Aston Villa. We're going to come back to some more of the super chats as well. But Manchester United, their deal for Ugarte is all but over the line. David, how good a signing do you think this is for Man United, one of your previous targets of Chelsea?
I think for what you need, he's really good. Don't expect him to come in and, split lines and whatever. He is a destroyer. I am going to win this ball, and then I'm going to give it off to somebody else to do all the creative stuff. But I think he's a great player. I don't really know much more to say. I think he's really good. And the fact it's a loan with an obligation, you can kind of see what he's like for a year and, judge it that way. So, yeah, it's really good.
Obligation or option?
Oh, it's an obligation to buy. So we have to buy him at the end of that point. But, yeah.
You don't. It saves you money this way, though.
Too,
you don't have to spend as much.
I'm not really too I want to say concerned about the player. I think what he does he does what he says on the tin. He's a destroyer. He's an out-and-out destroyer. I think if that's what Ten Hag wants and he's looking for him to play, I think he's going to be playing next to Manu, who has the ability to break the passing lanes and everything like that. Then it would work out. But he's not going to rip up trees. He's not going to be spraying balls left, right, and center. I don't think he's going to be distributing that well. He's just there just to literally break up play, be a destroyer, and pass the ball off to better players who can play football. So I think a couple of United fans will be in for a little bit of a shock in the sense of they're looking for a DM like that, but he's not like that. But if that's what you guys need and want,
I don't think any Man United fan thinks that we've signed Paul Scholes. I don't think anyone thinks we've signed Paul Scholes. I think everybody is very, very, very aware that we have signed.
I think they want Carrick though, not Scholes, but they want Carrick.
But where are you here? What United fans have you seen say that genuinely? Because I haven't.
They want someone that's decent on the ball who can actually play out.
But he is decent. He is decent on the ball. And I'll give you an example, right? These are some of his statistics compared to Declan Rice, who is good on the ball. Long passes completed per game and long passing accuracy better. Okay. This guy's pass completion is better in areas. He's dual success. This is just some of the stats that are out there. His short passing, I also believe, is marginally better than Declan Rice is as well. That's not a dig at Declan Rice. I think with Ugarte, it's overplayed how bad he is on the ball. I'm not saying, again, he's Paul Scholes or he's Pirlo or he's Iniesta or Xavi. I'm not saying he's of that level, but people are talking about him like he's passing the ball like Scott McTominay. Like he's a level above that as a technical football player, if that makes sense. So
he's okay to good, in my opinion, I think. And if that's what you guys are looking for and what you need, then cool. That's what you guys need, then that's great. I think it's a good signing, I think, especially with the price. But it's like some United fans that are looking, everyone wants a Rodri. And I think if any United fan that hasn't watched Ugarte, I think they just need to be a little bit mindful about the fact that he's nothing like a distributor, like a Carrick.
I don't know why we always go straight and look for negatives. Man United needed more improvements in quality in their team, and they've added that. Let's not act like every single player has to have every single piece to the puzzle. There's going to be players who have deficiencies, but what he's good at, he's really good at. He's really good defensively. He's really good winning the ball high up the pitch aggressively. And they have somebody who's just as good as Casemiro when Casemiro either is injured or something else happens. And that could be a good partner for Kobbie Mainoo going forward. We know Bruno Fernandes is going to be in the midfield no matter what. You know they're going to have that attacking player there. You know Kobbie Mainoo is going to be there as he's basically taking that spot and is undroppable. So now you have another piece to the puzzle, and they have more quality. They went from having Scott McTominay and Fred to now having Casemiro and Ugarte. That's a massive improvement defensively. It might not be guys who are going to go run into the box and score you a bunch of goals, but it is an improvement for Man United. And as they add their quality, they're going to need to eventually get players that are more complete. But for those kind of players, you're going to pay way more money, and you're not going to get them on loan deals where you pay a year later. So for what they've paid and what they got, I think they got a good situation. There's not too many negatives.
Yeah, I don't think there is either, to be honest. I actually think Ugarte is a decent player. I feel like, once again, like I said earlier, we live in the world where now it's not, we don't wait and see what a player can do at a club. It's always either you got to be super positive or super negative. If you're in the middle and you're trying to be realistic, people seem to think you're just stupid or something. It's weird. But like, I think when I remember seeing him play against us for Sporting, and he looked quality, and I was like, who's this guy, man? He's only 23 years old. Yeah, he's only 23 years old still, so he's still young. Like, definitely for his position as well. I'm not gonna lie, 23 years old for his position is a young player. It's a player that gets better with experience and stuff. Now he can find his way in Man United under a good system, hopefully this season, and he can thrive. And I think he'll be all right. I think he's what they need. I think he complements Manu perfectly. And yeah, like for me, it's kind of annoying because I think he's going to be a bit of a player that right now goes under the radar. It's like, oh, it's just a guy. And I reckon he'll end up being one of Man United's best signings. I'm going to say it from now. I think he will be up there for Man United's best signing of the season.
We signed a really good...
He might crash out.
Sorry?
He might he's just a player who, like, he might get a red card because he kicks someone.
Yeah,
he's a bit Romero-y.
No, like, I get that, but I'm not against it. Like, I grew up, you know, one of my first heroes who I love was Cantona, who was susceptible to throwing balls at refs, kicking racist fans and kicking players on the pitch. We've had Wayne Rooney that in his younger days was a proper hothead.
Yeah.
You just need these players in your team sometimes. If you take that dog away from them, then, you know, it leaves you in trouble. But we signed a really good DM last year in Amrabat. We just had an awful system that exposed our DM every single time. And we also did it a little bit in our first game of the season where we put too many players forward and we exposed the middle. This counteracts that a little bit because he's got more legs and he's more physical and he has more athleticism than Casemiro at 30 plus years old and Amrabat does. And we are working hard at narrowing the gaps in our midfield so he doesn't have to cover as much ground. So I see the real possibility here of him being a resounding success. And we saw that with Amrabat last year, last 4 or 5 games of the season, when we covered those holes in the midfield, he was brilliant. He was really good against Arsenal when they narrowly beat us. And he was brilliant in our final 3 games of the season, which we won. And then he was brilliant in the FA Cup final, which we won. And all we're really doing, and I like that we've done this, is we're saying Amrabat was good, but we need a better version of that player to try and go up a level. And I think that's what all of our signings have done so far this summer. Every single player has raised the technical level and the overall ability of our squad. And that's what I like about the signings that we've made, is they've been floor raisers. None of them are these world-class, potentially Euro in the future, but none of them are these world-class, best-in-class superstars. But I don't think we need them at this particular moment. It's hard to integrate those players when your club isn't perfect, because they want players like that want to come into a brilliant situation and scenario. They don't want to have to come in and try and sort of build you from the. Imagine you spent 4 or 5 years at a business building it from the ground up, and then a big organization comes to you and wants to employ you. You kind of want to go somewhere next where you're walking in. They've already got a brilliant client list. They've already got wonderful offices. You may not want to go somewhere and be back in that same position of having to grind from the bottom up again. It's hard to remotivate yourself sometimes when you've done that before. And I think sometimes we've brought the wrong players at the wrong time to our club. So, yeah, really, really happy with what we've done so far. I want one more midfielder, if I'm being honest. I want one more to come in, if we can, someone who's technically better on the ball. But yeah, I'm really excited about how we're gonna perform this year, the progression that we'll make, and hopefully closing that gap on some of the top teams. So yeah,
you know what the funny thing is, Terry? This is the first time in the time that I've been doing YouTube where I've ever seen people say, "Damn, Man United doing good business," and they don't have anything negative to say, so they just try to like laugh about it or make banter about silly things, but. Really and truly,
I mean,
no one can.
was that season
you can't really fault their window. Their window has not been they're not signing superstars, but they're not getting anything crazy done.
That's the way you should do it.
There was the season where they signed Varane and Ronaldo and players.
Even
like
then, people were saying Varane is going to you for a paycheck. Casemiro is going to you for a paycheck. Yeah. They're even then. Now, none of these players that are going to Man United, you can say, are going for a paycheck. They're all good signings.
That's the way you're supposed to do it, though. You're not supposed to, in my opinion.
No, I'm saying it as a compliment. Don't take it as a
no. I know. I agree. I think that's the way you should do it. Get your foundations right, and then when you've got everything settled, then bring in the big stars. I've said this since the hierarchy come in. United will have a good season, and I do think they will get top 4. And then when they get the top 4 and that extra money comes in, then next year you'll see a lot bigger and better signings come in. But they're settled now. And it's all about getting the fans, the players, and everyone singing from the same hymn sheet in the first season. Like Fulham 1-0. Okay, it's not the best scoreline, but it's a win. It's a clean sheet, and it was much better performance than we saw. I think that performance, obviously Fulham were on top of some of the game as well, but parts of that game was better football than we saw a lot of last year. Like last year, watching Man United at times, I mean, we can all agree. Terry, you must have been pulling your hair out. But the United they've got now, there's things that are slowly in place, in my opinion.
No, listen, I agree, and there's a long way for us to go. You know, we're still overall in a mess. We're still nowhere near where we want to be. But I think it's been a good start, and it's now about putting that into practice and starting to see the team improve. And fingers crossed on Saturday, we see De Ligt start the game, which is what I'm hopeful for. You know, having De Ligt, Delo and Matuari, De Ligt, and Lissandro, plus our goalkeeper, there should be absolutely zero excuse to not be playing out well from the back. Absolutely none. So it's all these little things, and we're not going to be perfect. We're still going to make mistakes because the squad isn't where anybody expects it to be. We still want it to be better and better and better over the next couple of years. But that's what I'm excited about. And that's it's a nice feeling to have as a United fan. For years, I've not felt that excited about games, about a progression. And even when I have got a little bit giddy and thought, oh, this is a good deal. One thing that the people that have worked with me long enough know, I've always said, if we don't change the way we run the club, ultimately we end up in the mud again, because you can't be rudderless. You know, you can get away with being rudderless for a certain period of time, but at some point you're capsizing every single time. It's as simple as that. So yeah, I'm really, really happy with it. We're going to come back a little bit later in the show to preview the top 6 games over the course of the weekend to get your views and opinions, including Man United, Brighton, Aston Villa, Arsenal. So make sure you're staying with the Football Terrace. I did want to get everyone's opinion on what's going on at Chelsea. Raheem Sterling is banned from the training facilities. He can't eat in the canteen. There's between 10 to 20 first team and senior players that are not allowed to interact or talk to or be around any of their sort of teammates. They've been told they're nothing to do with the club moving forward. Chilwell, Chalobah, etc. Chelsea fans are at war. There are some whose heads are, this is great, this is ruthless, this is perfect, this is how we should behave, this is how we should treat players. There are others that believe this is Chelsea losing its soul, mistreating players, and essentially creating a toxic environment which is going to lead to their ruin. I'll go to David first. How do you assess this kind of Sterling and Chelsea at war kind of craziness that's exploded online and in reality, I suppose?
What I would say is I see why it's been done, because there's no point having, again, we don't have 40 players. It's an absolute nonsense. We've got 40 players full stop anyway. But it doesn't make sense to have 33 players running around with the squad. So I get why some people have been frozen out. And I hope, as long as, and the thing is, I trust my club to do this as well, because we are very good at selling players. So I'm fully expecting by the end of the window that group just won't exist anymore. But obviously, if you do that and then you don't sell the player, you're now in a situation where you have someone who you've frozen out, who it's kind of hard to bring back into the fold. With, like, example, Sterling. If we don't sell Sterling, he's got to come back, or I don't know, he might have to come back. He may just stay and vibe on his own for 6 months, which would be a bit stupid. But he'll come back, and then he's got to pick a brand new number for the squad because we've given it to somebody else. And he's going to have to reintegrate himself. And Maresca's already said, I don't really rate you. And it's just kind of like, it's a bit weird. So if you have put 10 players to the side and said you're not part of the plans, those 10 players have to go. Now, this whole nonsense about losing the soul of the club, I'm sorry, those fans are they're so jarring. I hate those fans, because it's like, you are a Chelsea supporter, you are not a Trevor Chalobah supporter. Like, I'm sorry, if you're genuinely a Trevor Chalobah supporter, I don't know why you even watch football, to be honest. Like, what are you doing?
Isn't he just standing at the bar? Do I care? Not really. People are acting like Chalobah's Rudiger. If we did this to Rudiger, I would get the outrage. Like, that guy was class. When he figured it out, he was good. Chalobah has never been a level raiser for this team. He's just been decently average. Like, he's just
David,
not
but
been.
Do you think it's the way?
Really stupid.
Do you think it should matter?
But how else? The manager has said. The manager said, "You are not part of my plans. Go and train over there. I've got my players."
Yeah, cool. I hear you, and I agree with that side. You want them gone, fair enough. People do, all clubs do that. But this thing of not talking to the players in the canteen, you can't eat in the canteen, and all that's coming a bit toxic now. That's coming a bit like you want to force them out. You want them to hate the club, so they push to move, and they'll take a pay cut to leave the club. Seems a bit bullish.
It's just about.
Seems a bit bullish.
It's
no, but
what I'm asking you,
though,
of the first team squad. If you're not part of the first team squad, you're not part of the first team squad. It happened. Do you know what's so funny about this? If you've played sport at any level, right? If you're in the first team, you very rarely interact with the second team unless it's like a practice game before the start of the season. Once the first team's doing their thing, the first team trains on their own. That's what they do.
Can I read something to you though? What's changed? Based on this statement, what's changed? Raheem Sterling, in a few short days, has gone from being a leader, the words used by Chelsea recently on their website, and an important player, the phrase used by Maresca, to being someone who will not play and is not their kind of winger and is banned from their facilities. What's gone wrong to go from the club saying he's a leader and the manager saying he's an important player to him being kicked out of your football club? Like, what's happened in the last couple of weeks to make that happen? Because that doesn't just feel like an amicable conversation where we've said we've decided we don't want you.
Probably the statement before the game when Maresca's already gone to you and said you're not part of the plans for this weekend. That's probably what's tipped him over the edge. You don't put, but when your teammates playing, you don't put out saying, we seek clarity for the situation. No, because he told you on the Friday before you put out the statement that you're not part of the game week squad. So you had clarity on the situation. So then going out in public and being like, oh well, the manager said this, that, and blah blah blah. Of course, then go train on your own. You're not part. If you're not part of it, go train on your own. That's not my problem. And I fully respect him doing it. I do fully respect him doing it. You just have to now. It now has to be done where he's got to be sold. That's it. As long as he's sold, it's not a problem. It only becomes a problem if he stays and then there's bitter feelings towards each other. That's when it becomes a problem. And also I'm not sure, is he banned from the? I'm not sure about if he's banned from the series. I saw the thing where he's training at home, but I don't think he's been. Actively banned.
I'm only going by the time. I read the Times article. The Times have said that he is not allowed on the premises as of now.
So is that Terry?
Okay,
is that
enough.
all of the 20 players are not allowed? Like,
no, I've only read that about Raheem Sterling. The rest of them are training separately, but training and ET.
That's probably because of the statement.
Yeah, which makes sense. I listen. I agree with a lot of what David is saying. I mean, I can't. What do you mean? What's crazy?
The manager is disillusioned. Did you see what his statement was? He said that it's not a mess like everyone says it is. This is what he's describing is a mess. When you have 15 to 20 players, as he said, what he said is a mess. To say you have 15 to 20 players that are paid employees from Chelsea Football Club, training completely separately from the club, have no intentions of integrating them into the club at all, with 7 to 8 days remaining from now until the window closes, it is crazy to think you're going to get rid of all of those players.
Is it 15 to 20 though, Egal?
That's what he said. I'm taking his words.
It's what Maresca said.
Maresca
said that.
Maresca said. I'm taking Maresca's words verbatim. Let me finish, and then you guys can rebuttal. Simply put, I think it is a mess. And for him to say that this is not as a mess as everyone's saying it is, I'm only working with 20 to 21 players. I had 26 players that I worked with in America, and now we only have 20 to 21. That in itself, he's describing an absolute mess. You have paid employees, 20 of them, 15 of them, whatever it is, that are not working with their colleagues on a day-to-day basis because you want them out the club. If you don't get them out the club, you're either going to have to integrate them in, or you're going to just have them sitting on their ass until January. The whole situation is a mess. And for him to sit there on television on the press conference and telling people that everything is fine, this is not a mess, he himself is disillusioned by the whole situation.
But again, this is where context is important, because if you're saying
some of those players are under 21s, like Amari Kellerman, who is painted on the graphic, Eddie Beach, Lucas Bergstrom. I can name so many more. Those players are under 21 players, so they're already training in a separate group. The players that people are concerned about is like Lukaku, Chalobah, Sterling, Dacho Fofana, who all have very high suitors. And again, one thing I will say, and people cannot deny this, Chelsea are a very good selling club. So when Chelsea say we're going to do this, if people want to talk about evidence, there's a hell of a lot of evidence to say Chelsea are going to do it.
You're arguing something that I didn't say. I'm simply saying that the manager saying that the situation is not a mess is a blatant lie, and he's deluded. You can't debate that.
His point was the group that I am training with is not a mess. I am not working because everyone's saying he's got 43 players. Carragher's saying there's 45 players in the changing room together. That categorically is not true. That's not a mess. He himself is working with 20 to 25 players. The other players are training on their own. It's not okay. You can say the situation is messy, but what he's working with himself is not a mess. That's what I think he's trying to get across.
I don't care what he says. He's blatantly lying. He's blatantly lying. He's trying to give you guys one second. He's trying to give you positive PR, and he's trying to blatantly spin the whole situation. How can you spin having 42 something players at the club and saying, "Oh, because I don't see all of them and I only see this group of players, everything is fine"?
check WhatsApp.
David just answered your question. If more than
David
half of them are like,
rebutted what he said,
but
and he's trying to, they're trying to convince themselves that this is perfectly normal. No football club acts like this. This is not normal.
Let me finish. If David said half of them players are academy players, they will go back to the academy. We did the same thing with all our players that went to the USA.
Okay.
Majority of them are academy players. They will go back to the academy.
Understand, when you say Chelsea Football Club have this many players, a decent portion of those players are players that they paid significant wages and they paid a certain transfer fee for. They might not be able to get rid of all of them, but the situation right now is messy. And to sit there and for David in one aspect to say, yes, it is messy, but it's not messy with these players. The whole situation's messy. Let's not act like it's an isolated situation. The first team's isolated away from everybody else. This is not COVID. They're not in literally isolation phase.
Terry, sorry, check WhatsApp.
Again, the fact you said I don't care what you said, you lost. Congratulations.
Nah, bro. You literally answered my point by saying it is messy. You answered my point by saying
I said what I said was, and you look at it from the outside, I can see why people say it's messy. I can see that.
I get what he's saying, but he's coming from a disillusion.
If 35 people, again, can I finish my point? And I'll let you finish. Let me finish, right? If 35 people have been not promoted, but have played in the first team, right? And then we come back from the US, and then we get back, and then Kellyman, Cassidy, there are guys on that squad. Tyreek George started our first preseason game, so technically he is a first team player, but he was in the academy last year. Kane O'Dyer, another one who is on the B list in our Conference League thing, but he's in the academy. These are all the players who people are saying, oh yeah, we got 45, 50 guys going about, but they're actually it's just not true. I could say Arsenal got 100 players. If I include the academy, you man got 100 players. It's a mess. Now what? Talk.
No, you literally agreed with me 2 seconds ago. Now you're trying to change it. My whole argument is not that you're not going to loan them out. My whole argument is not that they're academy kids. My whole argument is not that these players could potentially be moved. My point is, at this moment in time, to sit there and to speak to the media and everybody and say that this place is not a mess, we have it all under control, everything is perfectly fine, is disillusioning your fan base and trying to spin them and give them positive PR. You admitted it 2 seconds ago that it's messy.
The group that I am working with is not a mess. I only work with 20 players.
I don't think that's a healthy working environment.
That's different.
How many? You're saying okay? So out of the 20 to 15, you're saying all of them are academy kids except for 6 or 7 players. To have all these guys completely isolated. Which professional football club has ever had?
Me the list.
One second.
Bring me the list.
One second. We got bantered for having Aubameyang isolated, Ozil isolated. These guys have 8 cases of that. And it's normal.
I'm not saying you can't banter me. I'm just saying I've got receipts because I've seen the list of 20 guys who are training, and I'm looking at guys like Bettinelli's our third choice.
Yeah. I have to say, just want to jump in for a second here, guys. I want to jump in for a minute here and just say, look, I get where you're coming from, Egal. At the same time, I've said this in the welcome chairs to the show. I've said this for a few days now with this scenario. This only goes wrong if they don't get rid of these players, in my opinion. They have to get rid of these players, though. And I saw this at Man United last year. I know in the end we ended up loaning out Sancho, but having him here for like 4 or 5 months, eating his lunch out of a car, it just isn't good for your football club, as an example. Do I think Maresca's lying? No. And he didn't say the club wasn't a mess. He's never going to say that. He was talking about the day-to-day training with his squad and players. But I love how Al just said he's lying. Ches, what are you here to say, mate?
I didn't even hear the debate between Egal and David. What was that all about? What were they saying? So
basically, Maresca said
Egal was basically saying Maresca's lying. He doesn't. Egal saying we just train with 40 man every day. No, regardless.
No, I never said
what
that.
We're doing. It's
I never said that.
Mess. Our club doesn't know what they're doing. We might as well shut up shop and we're going to get relegated.
Right,
that's
Is that what you said?
No, that's me over egging it. That's me over egging it. But it's like Egal's basically saying that from when you look at the situation that we've got, from considering we've only got 8 days left of the window, still having those 10 players that need to get sold is messy.
No, but the thing is that out of those 10 players, how many of them have actually featured in the last year? Not many.
One of them was your starting keeper.
Egal, I said out of the 10. So if you hear me speak,
Another one was one of your main centre back / right back.
I said how many of the 10? You named 2.
I've just named 2 back to back.
So name me another one.
You want me to just go through the whole list?
No, I'm being serious.
Okay, next, Sterling.
Out of the, you just said 10. You said 10 players, right? So I'm saying out of the 10, what 10 have started an integral part of our team to help us got 6th place, by the way?
That's irrelevant. There's still
no, but you tell me because you said you told me 10. So I'm waiting.
One second, that's an irrelevant part of the argument. Basically, you're saying
said 10,
because
bro.
one second. I'm not saying the impact on Chelsea as the squad on a day-to-day basis. I'm saying the club as a whole entity is a mess. You could have some of these players out of your squad and still
Who are
win.
the players that are not in the first team squad? We know that it's Sterling. We know Chilwell,
Yeah, so
Chalobah.
players who didn't even feature last year, Terry, who were on that list, who Egal's probably alluding to, are players like Kepa, Lukaku, Petrovic, Sterling, obviously now, Chilwell. Now, half those lists of players are people we don't even want or who didn't even feature last year. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if he's right in what he's saying, which I believe he is, I'm going to assume that. And there's like, I don't know, 12, 15 players training aside from the first team squad. Like David said, if you play sport, we have a job. That's very standard. We have hierarchy of like individuals and people in a job or a sports group. That's how it works. Obviously, because of the narrative and the news surrounding Chelsea, confirmational bias, it seems a bigger deal than I think it actually is. And the reason why Maresca is quite frustrated in his interview, because people kept on asking the same question. I listened to it twice. They're asking the same questions over and over again about the squad. He's like, guys, relax. I train with 25 and the rest train their own, which is quite standard. When other clubs on this panel were doing something similar a few years ago, it wasn't that deep. And actually, it was that deep, but one player, Bamian. One player.
Egal, please.
You're doing
you're
getting triggered for no reason, by the way.
Just guys, 1 second. What I would say about it is this, though. I understand that there is a hierarchy within sports teams, but what is rare is to have a list of players with the background, CVs, age, and caliber of Kepas and Lukaku's and Chilwell's and Sterling's, all having to train completely separately and away from the main group. I understand young players who haven't broken through or haven't quite made the mustard yet. They go and train with the under 21s or the under 18s. But what isn't normal is the amount of first team level football players, whether it's at Chelsea or they're going to move on to other football clubs, are in that scenario. Where I do agree this could become a problem is if you don't move the majority of them on in the next 10 days. That is where the issue lies, because these are not kids who are expecting to, if a 19-year-old's moaning, I fucking can't believe Chelsea bought me and I'm not in the first team yet, and he's training with under 21s, no one's going to listen. If there's if there's 6 or 7 or 8 players who are mid-20s and above, who are all told to go and train with the under 21s, that in itself is an abnormal situation. So no one really quite knows whether it's going to go well or bad, because it's completely abnormal to high-level football, unless people know of multiple other examples where that's happened. I can't think of many personally.
I do get what you're saying, but a lot of these players that you're speaking about are players we want to get rid of anyway, not just from this year. Like Chilwell, Kepa, Chalobah to a certain degree, Lukaku, all these players, like we wanted to get rid of anyway, before even this summer. So now they've done it in a more ruthless way. Everyone's acting and getting abhorrent, like, oh my gosh, that's a big deal. We need to get rid of them. Like, they're high wages, they're either older players or they need to go. There's not good. The irony is, right?
That's not the argument. Cheers. That isn't the That's not the argument. We're going into an argument that we're not talking about.
One sec. You said one thing before. I don't agree with you. You said 1 second. You said one thing before I don't agree with, right? You said, oh, like, you're not used to seeing that's some experienced players in the squad being left out. But my thing is that, like, if Chilwell was there, sitting rotting on the bench, it's the same thing. He's one got played.
No, but it isn't the same. It isn't. Hang on, but it isn't the same thing. It isn't the same thing at all, because he would still be in the first team squad. He would still be training. He'd still be eating with them, and he's on the bench. But he's got a chance of getting into the first team. if you don't sell these players, and we have to be very careful where people are looking at this as a crazy situation is more around if you don't get rid of them, you've suddenly got first team level senior experienced players and multiple of them that have not got a chance of playing all year. That could create a toxic environment at your club because they will talk to the other teammates. Your current squad will be annoyed by the treatment of these individuals if they're not moved on to other clubs, because historically we've seen that elsewhere. So where I agree with Chelsea fans is that right now, I think the situation can be resolved. But it's this idea that whether you sell them or not, it's just normal to have them all training with a group of 18-year-olds and not interacting for a whole year with people of similar age and status to them in terms of the world of football. That is where the toxicity could come in.
Terry, this is the thing, though, because again, like, I get what you're trying to say, right? But the thing is this: if they weren't ostracized in the way they've been the last few days, and we didn't have this whole palaver, and Chilwell and Sterling were sitting around on the bench training with the team for a whole year, I didn't play, they would still be disgruntled. They would still be on 200k a week. So regardless whether we've done it this way or not, they still would have been annoyed. So I know what you're saying.
Where I disagree with you is this. Where I disagree, no, I can. No, it doesn't work like that. No, it doesn't work like that. And I can tell you why, Ches. They are being told now you've got zero chance of ever playing. And if we can't find you another club, you're training with the kids for the rest of the year. If they were sitting on your bench with an opportunity of impressing and getting into the first team, they've got something to fight for and play for. Those two scenarios are very different, Ches. As I've said, be ruthless, get rid of them. But the way you've done it, if you can't get rid of them all, you've made a rod for your own back. And I don't think that is disputable. If you can't get rid of them and they're left in your club, are you happy with that?
Again, let me just want to what you just said again. You said if they have a chance to play. I've just given you a scenario before. If you listen properly, I said they're sitting on the bench for a year. They've barely featured and they're training, being professionals. They're still going to be disgruntled. If you got told by your boss, you're going to get a chance. You're going to get a chance.
Ches, there is a difference.
And you're training every. I know what he's trying to say. By the way, I'm not saying I can not see a difference. I'm just saying.
No, but I agree with Terry because there is a difference. Ches, there's a difference between you can come to training and I won't play you to don't come to training full stop. That is a massive difference. Like again,
I'm very much aware of that.
Again, the way it all comes across, especially again, if the player's popular, like again, if the player's a popular player and you just ostracize him and you just send him to the shadow realm, he can't come back. Then other players will go like, hang on a second, I like that guy, I've got to back my boy. Because ironically, that happened at Man United last year with Jadon Sancho. And that's one player. So if you have 5 of those players, it will become a massive issue. Yeah, but I just trust my club.
Ches, do you know what's the reason for doing that? If you said you want to sell them anyway, you don't want them at the club. So what is the reason for doing that if you're selling them anyway? Like, what is the reason to do that? Why? I personally think because you've signed too many players and your squad's too big, so you can't train all them people properly. That's the only thing I could see the reason why he's told them to go away. Why he's done that. And also, do you worry that this could be an ongoing thing at Chelsea now? Because you've got all these guys on these long contracts where next year again, you want to get rid of people and that, and because they're not really wanting to budge because they're on good contracts and that, and they don't really want to leave, you're going to have to segregate them again, more people, because you're going to need them to leave because they've got another 6 years on their contract. You don't want them anymore. Like, I just think that it's a wrong thing to do from Chelsea.
This is the thing. So me and Terry spoke about this in the chat earlier. If you guys saw it, and he was like, I understand it's happening to Enzo next year or Mudryk next year. I personally wouldn't expect the same treatment. And I explained why. And we disagreed. So my point of view was, if there's a younger player with more potential, you paid a high amount of money for him under your new structure on a lower wage, in my opinion, that should be viewed in a different way to someone on 300k with a high expectation, who's more experienced pro in the game, and you expect more from that player. So I don't expect the same treatment. So some people disagree with that and go, it should be the same treatment for every player. I slightly disagree. I'm not saying it should be a massive gap and kick one out and then be nice and pandering to another, but I do understand the differences in a different approach. And what I'm trying to say is I'm not disputing your point or Terry saying, oh, like, just because you kick him out, it's still going to be a bad thing. It's not a good thing. I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, if they were sitting on the bench anyway, and this didn't all happen, And then Maresca's promising him, you're going to play, you're going to play, you're going to play the whole year. And like Terry said, an opportunity to play. So you're not being toxic, you're not kicking him out. And he doesn't play the whole year. He's not stupid. He's still going to be annoyed. He's still going to be making statements going, the manager said I've got a chance.
It's different when it's different when a manager says you are not good enough for this club. You are not a good enough.
Do you think it's good enough for Chelsea? Would you take him at Liverpool?
No, but that's not. I don't care. It doesn't matter what any of us think. This is what he has said to them. He has said to these players, "You are not good enough. You don't deserve."
And they're not. So it's the truth.
Yeah, but the thing is that you have possibly disgruntled 5 key players within the dressing room who could make the whole dressing room toxicity. What are you saying? Sterling's not a key player in the dressing room.
What does Sterling bring leadership-wise?
Do you know what? Can I just jump in for a second there? I want to clarify something around. When you say key player, you're talking about age, profile, personality, relationships with people, social groups. Yeah, you don't mean key player as in
not like football-wise.
Pitch. Yeah, I got what you mean. And that's where I think that the happy. Me and you did disagree in the group chat earlier. I also think you'd have a very different, like you've said, you'd have a very different energy to this behavior from Maresca and your football club if it was players that you like and rate versus
not who
players
I like,
that you
perform better than him.
Well, yeah, I mean, but there are Chelsea fans. Yeah, but it's still subjective because there are lots of Chelsea fans that believe that Chalobah is your best centre back currently at the club, and a lot of Chelsea fans that believe that Gallagher was your best.
Yeah, but you're speaking.
Hang on a minute, let me finish, please. A lot of Chelsea fans believe that Gallagher was your best centre-back central midfielder last season. So the point I'm making is it's still subjective to you. You're still passionate about it. It's who I think was good versus who other people think versus who I think is bad. For me, I don't think everything, and I've been very balanced on this year with Chelsea. I don't think everything is doom and gloom at your club. I don't believe in this idea that your soul's gone. As a United fan, I can't say whether your soul's gone or not because I don't know what a Chelsea soul feels like because I'm not one. I'm not condemning any of that. I'm only looking at this through experience as a Man United fan. And just one player we did this to, and it caused massive problems in our dressing room where we promised to let Romero go and we ended up not being able to get the deal done. And then he sat in the reserves all year. And there was a lot of his fellow teammates and friends in our club that were fuming with the football club because they didn't like seeing a player treated in that way. All I'm saying through experience is your club needs to be very careful. And you have gone for a very much a scorched earth approach where you've been very open and very honest with your club's feelings towards these individuals, but it leaves you no scope now to turn around and say something different. You have to get rid of these players. Otherwise, it could become a very toxic place to be for these individuals. It really, really could. I don't think that is unfair to say. However, you are a very good selling club. You typically get rid of a lot of these players. And if you do that, then I think it will be no harm, no foul, personally. I want to go to some of these super chats here that have come in during this conversation. First one says, Maresca called Sterling an important player on the 4th of August. In 10 days, he was out of the door, and Clear Lake cheerleaders are on the panel are telling us it's Maresca and not the owner's decision. Delusional PR, it's crazy.
Oh, that's too funny. No, why is it funny, Terry? You don't listen to a manager's words. You watch the actions. Managers lie all the time. Secondly, Sterling featured the same amount as Tyreek George. Is Tyreek George an important player for our squad? Yeah, I didn't think so. So
just keep that energy. Listen, and that's fair to have that opinion.
That's facts. That's not my opinion. It's facts.
Are you talking about last season? I'm confused.
No, I'm talking about this pre-season.
You talk about pre-season,
and that is the same amount as teenagers.
And that there, yeah, and in pre-season that's quite normal. But the point being made here, and again, it's about people being intellectually honest. The next time I hear you have a go at a manager for something he said and not what he does, we'll be calling you out on it, Ches. If it's not your club, that is.
If this was Manchester United or Arsenal, you'd have a much different energy. We know that.
Matic and Juan Mata were deemed surplus to requirements by Merino and sold to Man United. Wasn't Chelsea ruthless back then, Terry? Absolutely. And nobody here is saying that getting rid of players that you don't deem good enough is wrong. You've not heard those words come out of my mouth. I'm talking about it's the behavior and or treatment of an individual. If KJ's struggling at work for me and me and him privately talk about it and I dismiss him, give him a month's notice, pay him salary, help him find a new job, that's cool. But if I'm sitting on the internet, ripping into him, telling everyone he isn't good enough, damaging potentially other work opportunities for him, that's not the right way to behave. They've both ended with him losing his job, which he may have deserved, but there's a way in which you can go about things in life. And I think that it's not wrong to want players gone. Chelsea have just created a situation that could go wrong, could go badly, end badly for them, is all I'm stating. They're not wrong. I don't disagree with Ches on any level. You should get rid of players that you don't deem are good enough for your football club. That's absolutely fair. Like, no one's disagreeing with that. By the way, Egal said the exact same thing. Terry said, again, bad at expressing himself. No, I got what I mean, me and Egal said a few different things. The only thing he said that I disagreed with Egal, I don't think Maresca's lying. I think he is training with that size of group. I don't think Maresca's made that up personally. So that's where me and Egal disagree. United did the same to Sancho, talk about that. But we did. Again, I condemned it. And this is where you can't call me out for a lack of the same energy. I thought it was wrong that we spoke publicly and the player released a statement. I thought it was just, I said it on many shows, it was disgusting that we made him eat his lunch in the car. It was disgusting that we started leaking stories about him. So I need to be honest, I did call it out. I'm keeping the same energy, brother.
Does it depend on the situation though, Terry? Because I'll give you an example, right? This happened to Liverpool a couple of years ago with Mamadou Sakho, because we isolated him out of the team because he came late into training. And I think he also gate crashed one of Klopp's interview with the club. Would that be a situation where you're like,
yeah, I mean, of course.
I
mean, yes. I mean, if tomorrow Enzo Fernandez turns up and sings that Argentina song again and the club ostracize him, I don't think anybody would have a problem with it. As an example, I doubt he's going to do that. But if he did and they said you're suspended, I don't think anybody would call that out. I really, really don't. But I do remember Chelsea fans, I'm not saying anyone specifically, calling Jose a bully when he was at Man United. And he didn't let Bastian Schweinsteiger try him with us. Some of them I've noticed don't have the same energy now, which I find particularly strange. Chelsea fans, the issue sound like many Arsenal fans at the start of our rebuild. Back Enzo, not the players. Let him mold his locker room, is what this Gooner says here. Every time we get a new coach, there are players who are surplus to requirements. Why are we acting like this is abnormal? Stop the gaslighting, Terry. Nobody has said players being surplus to requirements is abnormal. That has not been. And Ches, you would agree I've not said that, right?
I know what you're trying to say. I don't think the super chat does.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't said. I just want to clarify from you that I'm debating with. I haven't said.
You do it. It's not what he's done; it's how he's done it. That's the difference.
Yeah, and it's just that the situation Chelsea could cause for themselves with the way they've done it. Not that they want to get rid of players at a surplus to requirement. Not been said at any juncture.
It's also the volume.
The volume is abnormal.
The volume is probably the worst part, David. It's probably not. Yeah, if it was one player, cool.
And that's why it's being discussed, because it is. Chelsea is becoming the X factor. Simon Maresca. It's like the judges' chairs. Yeah, I like that. Based on this logic, it's more than 42 players. We have the under 18s, under 10s, under 8s. Damn, we're screwed. Get the under 8s into the first team training.
I like this one. This is funny.
As a Chelsea fan, it's crazy to see how delusional our fan base is. Maybe I wasn't aware. Let's see where we are at mid-season. Thank you, Daniel. Who's buying Sterling for a good price after this? Well, it looks like Aston Villa have made an inquiry. I don't know what. I mean, the thing is now, what price you get for him is going to be interesting, because you've basically said he's not part of your plans, and it's not harder to get a good price, but we'll see.
Duran?
You don't want Duran, do you? Still, you can't still.
I'll take it.
David, do not. Your stands on them. Got it if you want that. Bro.
I feel like
the super chat.
Yeah, was it toxic at Arsenal when Arteta kicked Aubameyang out? Sterling got his chance and didn't step up as the experienced player. It's time to give others a chance.
Simply put, when Aubameyang left, he was one player out of an entire squad. Where at Chelsea right now, there is a whole list of players, obviously at Chelsea right now, that they're trying to move at the exact same time, that are ousting at the exact same time. So it's a little bit of a different circumstance. Aubameyang wasn't the club captain, was the club captain who got stripped and was taken out. And that situation, we actually started playing better and got better off the back of that. Where Chelsea, and we don't know.
Wait, Ryan, one sec. Thanks, Terry, for getting me on this channel, because Gal will say something like that, and everyone would just say, yeah, that's facts. And
what did I say wrong?
That's factually incorrect. You're making it sound like
factually incorrect. Okay, go ahead.
You interrupt me when I'm speaking, so I can't respond, can I? You're making it sound like that what you're saying is that every single player we've ousted is been the same as Sterling. He's the one who made the statement. So the club has now got back to the statement. What? Sorry?
I never said it's the exact same
No,
situation.
but you're saying only one player. Like we've only had, I'll probably say, Terry's right here, 2 players who've done the madness too. Probably 3. Chalobah, Gallagher, and what's it called? Sterling. And Conor Gallagher had 2 opportunities to leave. He didn't take it. So you can't say it's completely different. It's not that different.
To hold on, David. Sorry, to defend the gal, that super chat said Aubameyang. That's why. No, but that's why he's saying about Aubameyang, because that super chat just said Aubameyang. It didn't say all the players that we've ever done.
No, but Egal said after that it was only one person, which isn't actually true.
Yeah.
No,
No.
He means
At
one
the time,
person at that
Aubameyang was
time.
one person.
Egal, it was more than just one person, bro. It wasn't.
No, it wasn't. Aubameyang
There was
the only
but
person
Egal,
at
there
that
was
time.
Ozil. Ozil was
a
a
different
Ozil
time,
was at
bro.
a completely different time.
Yeah,
Ozil
was
and Aubameyang were not.
I swear that was the same time.
One second. You guys need to understand. Ozil and Aubameyang were not at the same time. Ozil left in the summer, and Aubameyang left in January. It's 2 completely different situations.
Yeah,
So
and the
let's not try to
Aubameyang one's
compare.
different as
Let's
well.
not make it seem like Arsenal had Ozil, Aubameyang, Lacazette, all these guys ousted at the exact
So
same
Arsenal
time.
was never
Plus
toxic.
had
Environment at no
other
point.
We
players.
were
No.
toxic, bro. But we were
Yeah, that's what I'm
toxic.
saying, Giuseppe. That's what I'm saying.
But we were
One
toxic.
second.
But the thing is, with
We need to
Egal doesn't
acknowledge
want to accept that.
Gal,
they are trying to spin this and try to compare apples to oranges. You
Gal, why are you
guys
so
have
defensive? I just made
15
a
to
statement.
20
That's all, man.
players. Your manager said 15 to 20 players.
Pointing like this.
Don't try to sit here, Ches, and come here and try to compare 15 to 20 players, be it academy kids, be it youngsters, be it Lukaku and Kepa who came back from loan. You do have that number of players who are paid employees at the exact same time, not training with the first team and completely separate. That is not a normal situation. I don't think any of us have seen something this dramatic in our 20 to 30
It's
years.
dramatic. Oh my lord.
But Aubameyang was different.
Honestly, has anybody seen that before?
Aubameyang was Arteta sending a message to the rest of the lot. To the rest of the
paid employees who aren't training with the first team. You have 15 paid employees who aren't training with the first team. You do know that,
Bro, I'm talking about people who are paid,
right?
Okay, 1 second. You're trying to be a smart aleck, but you're not realizing what you're doing is just making your club worse because you're in denial. You're in denial that the situation at Chelsea.
Why are you so defensive? All we said was Aubameyang.
All I'm saying is what's happening at Chelsea is unprecedented.
He's all right. You're
and for
still
you guys to
top of
try
the
to
league,
compare
man.
it
He's
to
all
other
right.
clubs is wrong. That's it.
He's all right. You're
Can I
top of the
reply
league.
to the Aubameyang
Guys?
thing? Can I reply to the Aubameyang?
Yeah, guys, we're going to run out of time on the show, so I can't actually because we're getting with a lot of super chats. Ches, the way you serve the best waffles, I'm convinced you are Belgian, bro. Is what
I
Champ
wish I could
says
speak
here,
French. To be fair, I wish.
or Flemish, or
Yeah,
Dutch.
whatever.
They speak bare languages over there.
Speak a lot. Yeah,
Egal, I'm agreeing with you, but you're wired to always oppose. I said Aubameyang was a good decision, and I think Sterling, who's one person, got his chance. That element, I don't think it should even be part of the. That element shouldn't even be part of the debate. To be fair, Chelsea for sure has stuff to work on, but the media are talking out of taking it out of proportion. Honestly, it's poor journalism on their part.
Yeah, Sky
Their manager
Sports
said
all
that.
over us.
Must be difficult as a black man supporting Chelsea. All of a sudden, players get dropped. Make it make sense. I don't get what that means.
Thanks for the £5.
Cheers, mate. That makes no sense whatsoever.
I was
Cheers,
going
mate.
to say that.
Egal is the absolute worst. All he does is run on sentences to dominate the stream. The lack of testosterone in his voice makes it even worse. What is that about?
What
Don't
the
be
hell?
horrible to me. Come on, man.
Testosterone levels.
Come on now.
What?
Thank you. During the Euros, everyone saw Connor was average. Now it's a travesty. He's gone the same as Sterling. No one would take, but we have to. Comes across as point scoring. See, this is the thing. I don't think anyone's complaining about the players who move. This is just my interpretation. I don't think anybody has said your reasons for wanting them gone are wrong as fans because they're not
Conor
being good
Gallagher
enough.
won, Terry. That's true. Conor Gallagher, people were saying that.
But that's more Chelsea
People are
fans.
saying
I think Chelsea fans, more so than rivals, are angry about that. We all agree that he's not very good. I don't think anyone's can't believe they've got rid of Conor Gallagher. I put like
No, Terry, that's not true. Rivals were saying he was the best midfielder. You shouldn't get rid of him. That's what they were saying.
He was one of your best performing players last season.
No, Ram. People
Not
actually
literally your best. I feel like Terry would win a show with his dog. I wouldn't ever put Rocky into that, but he is a beautiful boy. He's a proper dog. He is. This here, there's so many of these. Egal, I take back any disrespectful things I've said to you in the past. Your analysis on Ugarte was very fair, unbiased, and respectful. Thank you, is what V33 says here. Josh also commented on that, saying, interesting perspective, Ram. Curious if you'd prefer Ugarte or Endo to be a DM in your team.
I prefer Kimmich in my team. How about that?
So you mean Ugarte?
No, I prefer someone better than Ugarte.
You
know what? Just
answer the no, Ram. I'm not letting you do that. We don't do that on the football terrace. Answer the actual question.
We're the same player, and plus I like Endo. Endo's my guy.
Okay, that's what you think. Southampton are about to prepare a bid for Aaron Ramsdale, just to let everybody know. The club has just as much responsibility to hold up their end of the contract as it does a player. Yes and no. I always disagree with that. I don't like how I look at loyalty in football is so weird. I hate when fans get annoyed that a player wants to leave, but then don't care when they want to get rid of a player. I think it's fair on both angles. Equally, this means Chelsea fans that are advocating for this, if in 12 months, Palmer says, I want to leave and join Arsenal, I want to join Man, I want to join Real Madrid, you also can't be angry with him based on this logic. If you're allowed to be happy that players that you think are surplus to requirements should go, you should be accepting if a player thinks you're surplus to requirements. If you have equal energy and you're an honest human being, is how it should work. But football fans are toxically tribal. We all are. So it's never going to work. Manuel Ugarte could become better under Ten Hag. Oh, sorry, I would have done that one. Yes, he potentially could. In terms of, yes, I've seen that earlier, KJ. United have signed a young player, Mali international, Kone. I don't know what team that's from. But
Chelsea model.
Signing young players.
Yeah, copying Chelsea.
Sorry.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Man United have been developing an academy since before Chelsea were even a recognizable club, boys. But there we go. Do you want to compare academy history? Do you want to do that? Never going to go down well. You'll always lose that battle. Every club in England will.
No, you thought he was academy. He's proper Chelsea, Frank Lampard.
He weren't from your academy, was he?
From West Ham.
No, I know.
How about that?
No, Terry. No, Terry, I said it before. I literally said he's not part of the academy, but Frank Lampard's
okay, right.
Chelsea.
Sorry, I thought you said he was part of the academy. I thought you. I remember when Egal said that Robin van Persie was from the Arsenal academy. That killed me. I thought you did an Egal there.
Talking about young players, you always say that.
Yeah, because it's funny. It will always be funny, Egal. It was one of the greatest moments on my shows. Aubameyang was toxic and poisonous to the team. Speaking of previews this weekend, I wanted to start with Man United Brighton. How do you see that going, Henry?
Well, obviously Brighton had a great start, didn't they? Everton got a man sent off. They won the game 3-0. I thought they looked really, really good. I think I'm going to be honest. I think it'll be a draw. And I know I've just said about half hour ago, I've just said how great Man United are going to be this year. But I don't think United have had a great record at the Amex in the last couple of years. I'm going to go 1-1. I think Garnacho, for me personally, Rashford has got to be dropped. I think Diallo, Garnacho and Xerxes should be the front three. And I think if Xerxes starts, it gives Man United a lot higher chance of winning the game. But I think a draw, 1-1. People are saying 4-0 in the chat. I mean, you lot, that's wild. Man United are not going to beat Brighton 4-0.
You said 4-1.
I think if to be fair, I'm going to flip-flop a bit here and caveat it. If Man United score first, I think they'll win. But I think Brighton will come out the blocks firing because they're going to be confident. New manager, first home game of the season. Yeah, I think on the balance, I'm going to go 1-1 draw. I don't know what you lot think, but for me,
Giuseppe?
It's a tough one, man. I'm gonna say 2-2 because it's at Brighton. It is at Brighton, right? The game. It's not.
Yeah, mate. Yeah,
it's at the
yeah. I think 2-2. I don't think that's going to be the worst result for Manchester United. I think they'll play decent. I just think that it will be 2-2 because I think Brighton are actually quite a decent side this year. But I could see it going Man United's way as well. But I'm going to go with 2-2. You're muted.
You're on mute, Egal.
We can't hear you.
Sorry about that. I don't think Everton. My son's in the background. I don't want background noise, but I don't think Everton is that good. And Brighton beat Everton 3-0. Based on that, if we're thinking they're just going to beat Manchester United. I don't think that's the case. I think Man United is still going to get have enough for Brighton on the day, but it's going to be a close game, 2-1 to Manchester United.
Absolutely battered Everton.
Um,
They played them off the
I
park.
think Brighton are better than Fulham, and Fulham arguably, could have drawn that game. So
Could have drawn
I'm
that
gonna
game.
back Brighton. I'm gonna back Brighton. I'm gonna say Brighton win 2-1.
I'm going to Brighton as well. Actually, it's tough because you know what it is, Man United. The reason why I'm hesitant because they just come out these jammy 85th winners and then they'll run to the corner flag and they'll see out the game and get a win. So I could easily see like a Ugarte 2-1, but I could see like a 2-1 Brighton. So I'm going to sit on the fence.
Are you guys all basing this off the back of them beating Everton?
No, how Man United played more than Brighton. I know how
Brighton played good football.
Yeah, Brighton played good football. Man United.
Egal. Brighton play good football. They've got good players. They've got a decent manager. They're playing at home as well. Like, is very much in their favor. I can hear Brighton winning. I can hear it. And I think
Man United played lights out day one. They did not.
Exactly.
They didn't play good that day.
And plus, United with a new team, players still need to gel with one another. I personally think it would be a Desmond 2-2. Personally, I think it would be a very high scoring game.
I think a draw is a safe bet, to be fair. Like,
I think you guys all be
a betting man put a draw on it.
But how are you being disrespectful, Egal?
All you guys are picking Brighton to beat Man United. I think that's crazy.
Just a 2-2 draw.
No, three of us said draw. Three of us
Yeah.
said draw.
Do you know what it is? I don't want to. I'm not getting ahead of myself. Brighton looked really, really good at the weekend on Saturday when they played, but they still did afford a lot of opportunities to Everton. Everton had a great opportunity, especially they caught them playing out from the back on a number of occasions. I want us to pounce on that. I'm going to go over 2-1 Man United win. I think we'll do it. I think that they're going to be dangerous. I think they'll score against us. They look really, really free-flowing in the way they attacked. And they've bought very, very well, Brighton. But I'm going to go over cheeky 2-1 Man United away win in this game, personally. But there we go. Arsenal travel to Villa. Giuseppe, what you saying, mate?
2-0. 2-0, mate.
wow.
I think, yeah.
Giuseppe,
Listen, I think 2-0, bro. I
Confident
generally
quickly,
believe. Listen, I'm confident because I think that Arsenal shown even last season, like and stuff. When a team, they're gonna go there thinking these bastards cost us the league last year. They're gonna think that they're gonna go there with that energy, and I think we beat them 2-0. I could see it being 3-1. I could see that also being a thing. I think it'll be a 2-goal win, like by 2 goals off. But I'm gonna stick with the clean sheet. We've done some sloppy things in that first game, but I think that will also tighten up now that we've done that. 2-0 to Arsenal for me.
Villa Park as well, though, Giuseppe.
Yeah, bro. Would you?
I'm
going to be real. I'm not comparing us to City, but if a City fan said 2-0 there, you wouldn't be.
Yeah, I would be like, Villa's definitely scoring.
Yeah, but City have won 4 in a row and you've won nothing.
Yeah.
So,
Right
No,
now,
but but that's even the case because City struggle against Villa at Villa Park the last 2 seasons, and so have you guys.
I just think 2-0. I think our defense is good enough.
You say 2-0 it's not an inconceivable scoreline. I don't think Villa Park's as like buoyant as it was like start of last season. 2024, they have a poor record at home. Like, it's not great.
So let me instill a little bit of doubt into Giuseppe's mind.
You ain't having doubt, bro. I'm the guy that sits there and says we're winning the league this year, bro. You ain't putting that in my head.
Man, anyone can say that, bro. That's just anyone.
No, but I believe it, bro. I can say it, but I believe it.
All I'm gonna say, I think Villa nick a draw. I can't lie.
Oh, here we go.
I think Villa get a draw. I'm just. There's something about Ollie Watkins and Morgan Rogers. I just like
Ian Matson. Ian Matson.
Yeah, Ian Matson as well. And I don't like Arsenal. So 1-1.
But David, they ain't got Kellerman anymore, man.
When Declan Rice drops a stinker, I'll be there 7:30.
Drop stinkers anyway, David. That's a sure thing. That's a sure thing.
Don't forget John McGinn, man. Scottish Sedan right there.
Yeah. You know what I mean? Villa got a team. They got a team that can cause.
They got a good team, bro. They got a good team.
John Duran. I'm just saying.
What was your prediction, Egal?
I think we're going to win the game, but it's going to be a little bit closer. I'm going to go with a 2-1. I think we do concede. Aston Villa are a really tough side away from home. We have seen that ourselves last year, and and they are a team that have improved their midfield with Onana. So I do think it's going to be a tough game. So I'm going to go 2-1. But yeah, I usually give us clean sheets away from home, but this is one team where I can see them potentially scoring.
There we go. Spurs, I reckon you'll get on. Do you reckon you'll pick up your first win of this season, Henry?
If we don't beat Everton, then we really are terrible. But it's, you know what it is? If we don't beat Everton, our next 3 games are Newcastle away, Arsenal, and I think it's Brighton, then United. I reckon we'll beat Everton, but we'll concede. We've kept 3 clean sheets in 30 games, probably a 2-1 win, maybe 3-1. But if I'm going to be honest, I think this is a slippery slope for Ange. I'm not saying Ange out or anything, but this is a slippery.
I'm not letting you get away with that, because you messaged me something privately the other day, and I'm going to call you out.
Yeah, what I said is true though. I don't think he'll make Christmas. I don't think Ange will make Christmas.
That was my bold take.
Spurs fans are a complete
Let me explain that why. Right?
U-turn on their team.
It's not about doing a U-turn. I just don't think we've done enough in the transfer market. Like at defence, we've got 3 centre backs in for 4 competitions. We've got 1 left back and we've got 1 right back. When injuries come, what we're going to do? Play Archie Gray everywhere along the back 4. Plus Dominic
relying on kids here,
Henry. All that Chester's gone after the 4-1 prediction for the first game of the season.
But come on, we should have been 3-0 up in that first half. Dominic Solanke had 4 chances on his own, but when you look at the run of games we've got coming up, if we don't beat Everton, like our fan base is nearly as reactionary as Chelsea and Liverpool. I think it could be curtains for him. Newcastle away, Arsenal, Man United, Brighton, West Ham, and Europa League with 1 left back. And when Van der Ven's hamstring goes, we've got no recovery pace.
You know what's going to do it for you, Henry? We beat you at White Hart Lane once again. That's what's going to do it. That's what's going to set your fan base into absolute meltdown.
Once again.
And let's be brutally honest about this right now. No, I don't think anyone expects Tottenham to go and beat Newcastle. They've scored 10 goals in the last 10 games against us. I don't think anyone expects us to beat Arsenal. Then we've got Man United away, West Ham, who I think we play the Europa League on the Thursday. Then we've got them. They always turn up against us. It's a slippery slope. I'm not saying I want Ange out, but I'll be honest. I don't think he makes Christmas. We've kept 3 clean sheets in 30 games. Our league form over the last 20 games, we would be 13th. We've won the last 4 games. We won 4 out of 16 games. And those wins were against Luton, Forest, Sheffield United and Burnley, and 3 of them went down. It's not
rate Solanke.
Yeah,
I rate Solanke, but we can't. Son's going to.
This is actually inevitable.
I don't think Son's going to be as effective on the left-hand side. He's 32 now. His best performances last year were playing striker, and we're not going to play.
Henry, that first 10 games is skewed.
Have you seen our form since that?
That's what I'm saying. Ever since the start of the year, you guys have been like this,
We've won 1 game against the top 10 at the last 16.
Deep it.
Yeah,
Leicester.
How can you lose a player of Jamie Vardy?
There's no excuse.
Opening the
box. Be careful with that.
I don't mind getting cooked. If you draw to Leicester, cook me. I'm not going to defend it. No one here should be defending drawing against Leicester. I'm sorry.
I don't know if I'm being reactionary or whatever, but does anyone actually think Ange is going to make Christmas?
Yeah. I think your club will keep Ange.
I think he survives.
The fans will turn on him. I agree. He can walk. I think the fans turn on him at Christmas. I think that's a very high possibility.
Fans are already turning now. We won.
Henry, how much is that compensation package?
Big Ange, yeah, mate. Shrimp on a barbie, mate. High line, mate.
The financial. If we were to sack him right now, the financial side of things would be astronomical because he's got 4 years left on his deal.
Whoa! Yeah, you are. He is not going. He is not going.
Young players, managers leaving and coming. What's going on? Your club's a mess, Henry.
What's going on? It sounds like
oh my word!
Well, 3-1. I'm saying 3-1. By the way, 3-1.
The last
we'll concede 100%. I've gone 3-1 as well.
Well, what about Mickey? What's his name? Mickey. I was about to say Mickey Mouse.
Mikey Moore.
Mikey Moore. That's his name.
No, well, he's apparently going to get first team game time, but look, let's be real. Let's be
But
real.
you've got Timo Werner.
Brennan Johnson should never be starting, and he's going to start every game this
You
season.
signed him for like 40 million. Of course he's going to
50
start.
million. 50 million.
50. Oh wow.
50.
55.
Oh.
Wow.
We've done 180 million on Richarlison, Solanke, and Johnson. 180 million. And since Andrew's been here, we spent more money than fucking Real Madrid, than any team in Europe. We spent more money.
Yeah,
Real Madrid
you
got
guys
back
spent like
paid.
390 mil.
No, it's more than that.
What, even than us?
No. Besides
No,
Chelsea.
other than you lot. Other than you lot.
Oh,
Other than
besides
you.
us, besides us. Oh, I was going to say, that's crazy.
Besides, we've done 480 million euros.
Crazy.
And let's be honest, the best player we got out of that is James Madison.
But bro, you have freaking teenagers that are your squad depth in midfield. How'd you spend so much money and you have teenagers as your squad depth?
Because the plan is that with the likes of
Chelsea
Bergwijn
model.
and Archie Gray and Mikey Moore,
Chelsea
is
model,
that
I'm telling you, bro.
4 years down the line, like the thing is, we've got Project Youth in midfield, and our backup to Project Youth is more Project Youth. So like when James Madison gets an injury, because he can't play 50 games, it's so much. You can't put all that pressure on Lucas Bergwijn.
Henry,
I'm sorry.
yes,
I
blind and
just got a laugh, bro. I'm sorry. This is funny.
At least they
You're
spend
probably
money.
mad.
Unlike Liverpool, you shouldn't laugh.
Well, I'm gonna
Hey,
be
I
honest,
know we haven't spent anything, yeah. But
Yeah, Ram, I don't know why
hearing
you're
Henry
laughing.
talk
You spend
about
no
this,
money.
yeah. Hey, we got a good team still. I don't care, and we're getting Mama
So
Nashvili.
good
team for what?
Less
For
of
what?
that. Less of that.
Good team for what,
Less of
man?
that.
You're
But
getting a backup
hearing-
goalkeeper.
Yeah, respect Mamadashvili, but that's not the point. Hearing Tottenham's woes, it's just so funny. I was so
Spurs will be
sorry.
good. Spurs will be a good team when 2027 rolls around, like we will.
and by then we would have had 3 other managers.
So we get in the same boat.
Sorry, people. Just had an email.
The situation at Spurs is not.
There's got some more super chats I want to go to here. Sorry, guys. This says, where do your clubs place on the mid-season table? Oof, I mean, I don't.
Third.
First,
I'm
gonna
gonna go
say that for laugh. Why brother asked David and Ches for Arsenal predictions? Why bother asking? Sorry.
You
Why
get a
bother?
draw. Why is that even that
Because I enjoy hate.
Chelsea was never really happy with Sterling, but when the chance to upgrade to Neto came, it was clear to everyone involved that Sterling was not needed. If you don't freeze him out, then they will not leave. Potentially. Can't wait for AFTV raging outside about Unai Emery. Ches and David, are you paying £5 to watch Civet?
I will use other means.
Oh, it's not on TV.
I'm using NordVPN.
It's
I'm using
not on.
NordVPN.
It's not on normal TV.
No, it's
No,
not.
Terry, it's only like published by our site, apparently.
Get
No, it's not.
NordVPN.
Hang on, so but TNT Sport do all the Europe games. They haven't done
No,
this one.
because this is like a playoff, in it.
This is a qualifier.
qualifier.
Isn't it?
I get it, but that's mad.
They're not expecting Chelsea to be in it when they signed up for this stuff.
That's true. That's actually true. That's actually really, really true. No 5p. I want Arsenal to win, but if they don't win the Premier League or Champions League, they just pack their bags and leave. It will be an embarrassing same old Arsenal.
Sure, it will be so embarrassing though. It'll be
Jason
bad.
here. Sorry, Jason here says if we don't have the cash to buy a top striker or winger to improve the 11, there's no point spending 30 million. I'd rather wait and buy next season. Come on, you Gooners. Listen, we're going to preview more of the games tomorrow on Straight Facts in the afternoon. We are going to be live again after. I thought the game was on TV as well, because I have to work out. I'm going to have to go on Chelsea's website and buy the game now, aren't I? That's what I'm going to have to do in relation to that.
Use
Hey Terry,
NordVPN.
thanks for funding Osherman. So
What do you mean?
Use NordVPN.
your
you think
£5 will help towards.
Oh,
paying
right.
Osherman wages.
I didn't know what you meant for a second there. Yeah. Hang on a second, people, because I was meant to do something as well earlier. And I
Hey, David,
forgot
I'm so
to.
looking forward to this game.
You
man,
guys
know
keep
what I'm
talking.
saying? Europe again.
I'm so
I'm
gassed.
shameless.
By the
I'm
way,
a
you
shameless
just- we're
man.
just
playing
said
a-
it's embarrassing if we don't win the league. You better
We're
get
playing a
Champions League,
we're
man.
playing a napkin tonight. We're playing a napkin. Remember that. I just want to see. I want to see
If
some
we
good
lose, I
football.
won't be here.
If we
You know
lose,
what I'm saying? I won't
if
be
we
here.
lose, it's log.
I'm just saying.
It's log.
Don't expect to see my smile. I will
Nah,
not be here.
David, if you lose, bro.
To be fair, we didn't get out of the
If
group.
we lose,
Your team
Yeah,
is
no,
actually
Chelsea are not losing tonight. You're winning scoring 4, 5, 6 goals easy.
Oh,
100%.
When does the game begin? 8 o'clock?
God.
Easy,
Wait, why are you
easy,
saying it
easy.
like that? Now you
Chelsea
just
dub.
jinxed it. The
Have I
football gods are
jinxed it?
watching.
I can't jinx
Oh.
Maresca. He's God, according to you, Ches. Do you know what I mean? So we're in the group chat. I know what you say.
Definitely not.
Listen, I want to thank everyone who's tuned into the show as ever. Please hit the like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.